In their new romantic comedy, Anyone But You, actors Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell are actually adapting one of Shakespeare's most popular comedies, Much Ado About Nothing. Anyone But You is a rom-com that follows Bea and Ben, two people that form a somewhat meaningful connection that is quickly and accidentally broken. Later, Bea and Ben reunite when their mutual friends are getting married, and to meet their own ends, they decide to pretend that they are in a relationship. Comedic chaos ensues from there. It's far from a new idea to create romantic comedy movies inspired by or based on the works of Shakespeare. In the 1990s and early 2000s, there were various rom-com movies that used Shakespeare as their source material. Some of the most popular include 10 Things I Hate About You, which adapts The Taming of the Shrew, and She's the Man, which is a modern retelling of Twelfth Night. Furthermore, Shakespeare is not the only classic writer to have his stories adapted for the modern day. The iconic Alicia Silverstone film, Clueless, is an adaptation of Jane Austen's Emma. Anyone But You is loosely inspired by William Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, a comedy thought to be written in 1598 or 1599. A recent example of a modern movie retelling of a Shakespeare story is Anyone But You, which adapts Shakespeare's comedy, Much Ado About Nothing. The main aspect of the story that the movie brings to life is the plotline between Shakespeare's characters Benedick and Beatrice. Although the two seemingly dislike each other, constantly bantering and insulting each other, it is clear that their dislike actually holds a much deeper and different feeling. Over the course of the play, the other characters try to get Benedick and Beatrice to be together, until eventually, they finally confess their love for each other. Anyone But You is not the first movie to adapt Much Ado About Nothing. The first on-screen English adaptation of the play was a retelling set in Shakespearean times, entitled Much Ado About Nothing, and released in 1993. Real-life husband and wife, Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson, played Benedick and Beatrice respectively. In 2011, Joss Whedon directed a second direct adaptation in a modern, Italian mob setting, starring Alexis Denisov and Amy Acker. The other major on-screen version of the play was the filmed 2011 performance at the Globe, notably starring David Tennant and Catherine Tate as Benedick and Beatrice. David Tennant and Catherine Tate are a notable P. How Anyone But You references Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. Much Ado About Nothing quote in Anyone But You. In general, Anyone But You is a fairly loose adaptation of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. The most obvious connection is the Benedick and Beatrice plotline. Furthermore, Anyone But You emphasizes the main themes of the Shakespeare play, which are trickery and secrets. Throughout the film, information is skewed and utilized for individuals' unique motives. Anyone But You's character names references Much Ado About Nothing. One of the biggest references to Much Ado About Nothing Anyone But You uses is the names of its main characters. As previously mentioned, Shakespeare named his characters Benedick and Beatrice. In Anyone But You, Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney's characters are called Ben and Bea, which are shortened versions of Shakespeare's names. As it turns out, the main characters are not the only ones with names that match the source material. Anyone But You's cast of characters also include a Claudia, Leo, and Margaret, all of whom have matching names in Much Ado About Nothing, Claudio, Leonardo, and Margaret. Anyone But You directly quotes Much Ado About Nothing. If the story and characters were not close enough to the story, Anyone But You actually quotes the original play as well. There are several moments within the movie when characters say lines that appear in Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, or certain props have the lines written on them. Some examples are listed here.